In this video, we're going to go over the setup and assembly of the WEN 4214 12-inch variable speed drill press. And yeah, this is a pretty interesting drill press, and it's going to replace this My Harbor Freight little cheap thing that it kind of got the job done, but really when I needed to get good stuff done, it didn't go for it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to wheel this thing in, and we're going to try to get it up on this counter to actually set up. It is kind of heavy, but it's not too bad for a single person. The biggest thing when unboxing this is to actually make sure that you have a thing readily available to throw everything away in, and definitely take out and read the instructions. They do come in handy. Even though I watched tons of videos on how to do this beforehand, the instructions actually help. So we're going to pull out the base, and then we're going to pull out kind of all the miscellaneous nuts and bolts and everything. And here we have the table that everything you're going to sit your material on that goes underneath the actual drill and chuck spindle area. And then the next thing is this is the actual chuck that you would shove in, and then just pull out some more trash. And then this is the column that is going to go in the back, and I'm definitely going to need some gloves for this. And then finally we're going to pull out the actual main unit. This comes out as a whole thing, so you just kind of got to get a good grip on it and pull it out and just set it down. So next we're going to kind of open up all the bolts, and we need to actually find the bolts that we need and unpackage the base so that we can actually attach it to there. The first thing is I set down is the actual spindle that will hold the chuck. That's the chuck key, and then that little tool there I just played with is actually allows you to knock out the spindle so you can replace the chuck if you need to. So with the bolts actually found, it's time to take the column and unwrap it. Notice I have gloves on because all the stuff does have some finishing oil on it, and I'm going to have to take some mineral spirits later to clean that up. And then the biggest thing here is you just kind of align everything, and you kind of got to fiddle with it. If you notice in the back part there, I have one hole that I don't have a screw or a bolt in yet, and that's the last one I did because for some reason it was kind of hard to get that particular one in there, but I did eventually get it. I'm not going to show you me tighten it down. Here we're just going to jump to actually raising and lowering the handle for raising and lowering the table. It's super simple. You just got to be careful that you get the kind of cut off piece of the bolt. That's where you screw in and you screw tight the bolt too. I started not to do that at first, not paying attention. And then here we're going to put in the part that you actually screw that clamps together and holds on the actual table. It's super simple, there's not a lot to it. And then again, pulling out the table, it does have grease on it and it needs to be cleaned up, so if you don't have gloves on, just be aware of that. It's definitely recommended to wipe things off as you go, so that you're not like randomly touching it later, and A, you forget to wipe something off, and B, in case your like arm rubs on it and you actually get something stuck in there. So we'll go ahead and tighten this down, followed by putting in the actual little screws for this. And the instructions, I don't think I ever actually told me where and when to do this. I ended up doing this at the very end and just dropped back and edited this because this is actually a good point to do it. So finally we'll pull the plastic off of the back of the column, and we're going to clean that up with some mineral spirits. This part actually went together really easy. For the most part, this is actually a fairly simple process, and I do like the robustness and the heaviness of the WEN drill press. I will say kind of the quality control of the final like look and feel of everything. I mean, it is not like a Jet or a Powermatic or kind of some of your higher quality. This, you can definitely tell this is not your top of the line drill press. But hey, for like $250 off Amazon, and to get you something started, I mean, it's a great option that is available for you to use. I mean, I'm probably going to upgrade to a better one far off into the future, but I think this is going to be a great kind of working out. You just kind of slip this on, you pick it up, push it down, and it's kind of there. And everything just kind of fits well with each other. Now that everything is lined up, it's time to actually go ahead and tighten down the set screw for the actual unit itself onto the column. And it's just a matter of turning this one little screw with a hex key, and you're good to go. Next, we're going to put in the handles for the bar. This was kind of funny because you got to kind of line it up just right, and it kind of takes a little finagling because the angle isn't exactly what you might think it is, and then you can use the little tool that comes with it on this side to be able to tighten it down. Interestingly, the handle for the other side for the actual variable drive does not use that tool, which is rather annoying. Here we go. There it goes. It actually works. And if you notice when I pulled down, there was a little slot there. That actual slot is where you would use that little long diagonal thing that I showed you earlier, or that I talked about earlier, to knock out the spindle and the chuck, to replace the chuck in there to something else if you wanted to. And here I just used a crescent wrench to finally tighten down this bar. This bar actually changes the speed of the drill press, so you don't have to take the pulley cover off the top and change the pulleys by hand. It actually raises and lowers it on its own. And then next we just put in this little device here to squeeze the thing onto the clamp. Works exactly like it's supposed to, and no real complaints. The one thing I will say about this, the part where you have the teeth, I don't know if you can see it there on the side, it does not, at least on mine, it moves and should not move. Here I'm attaching the chuck and the spindle in there, and if you noticed, I kind of took a board and kind of knocked it once, and that's about all you should need to be able to get it to set in there. You'll probably push it in there and you'll need to spin it a little bit, and it'll set up in there more. Then you take that board, pop, you're good to go. Next is I'm just gonna put in a drill bit and get ready for some testing, get it cinched down, and then put the chuck key up in this little holder, which I thought was really convenient. And here we go, it's running. As you can see in the thing, it's running at about 2,900 RPM. I turned on the lights on one of the switches and the actual laser cross indicator with the other switch, and it is working great. You can also note on the top there is the dial thing for the depth that you actually want to go, and it is fully letting it go all the way down. And this runs fairly smooth. It is grindy. That's about the only way that I know to explain it. Again, not the greatest quality control at the end, but hey, it's cheap and it works. So here, finally, I'm going to test the actual run out of the drill press when it runs. It's not too bad. It's not amazing, but I think it'll work for what I'm doing. So this is the WEN 4214 12-inch variable speed drill press. I think overall it's going to be a great addition to the shop. It was easy to put together. It does the job. Does it do it well? Not necessarily, but I think it's going to do okay. So on that note, if you're looking for a functional, usable drill press and you don't want to spend a lot of money and you just need something and you're not going to be, using it as a workhorse full time, definitely check this one out. I'll see you next time.